Hello, everybody. How you doing? Ralph Perez here, Horror and Coffee. Still recovering from a very tough battle with sinuses, a lot of head crap. So I don't sound like fully like myself. Um, I decided to do this at the very last second. This whole thing right here, if I have to be real with you guys, because I was ready to watch Geeks and Flicks. Alex and Nate do their thing, but unfortunately, they had to cancel tonight's stream. So that was quite unfortunate. And then I started thinking, and I said, you know what? Well, since nobody else is on, let me go in here and talk about The Last of Us. I've been watching this show, and I hope many of you have too. For the last uh since it started. I never played the video game, so I never understood the story, and I learned everything strictly from the TV show. But the TV show I heard has been very faithful to the whole synopsis of the video game, so it kind of works out. Excuse me. Yeah. So it's pretty good. It's an amazing show. They finished the first season yesterday, and it was a short episode. It was like 43 minutes long. So go figure. For those of you who are who've been watching the show, first of all, this is all spoilers. So if you haven't seen anything, I would advise you not to watch this unless you don't care. So I'm just gonna go completely all in. Um, it's an apocalyptic story about a kind of fungus called cordyceps, which pretty much infect the majority of humanity. And through a span of 20 plus years, you see these people going through this. Pedro Pascal plays Joel, a man who loses his daughter in the very first episode as soon as the outbreak begins. And then it jumps like 20 years later or whatnot, where him and his friend Tess, if I remember her name, were given a task to deliver this young girl named Ellie. Uh, you see here in the photo, to go and deliver her to the Fireflies, this group of people who claim that they can find a way to help solve the problem of the cordyceps fungus that has infected the world, right? Because this girl, Ellie, is immune. She was bitten, but didn't turn. So they're thinking she might be the key to the survival of the human race, right? So, so you go through all these episodes. I think there were 8 in total. I might be off on that, might be a little less. But one of the things that I loved in the very beginning was how they kind of showed how it all started, how it all began. You know, I loved the flashbacks to when they were still theorizing about what could happen if something like that were to happen, all the way to this doctor, this woman doctor in India, I believe, or Indonesia. My bad, Indonesia, and where the outbreak supposedly had happened. In the video game, it happens in somewhere in South America. It breaks out there, but in the show, it's in Indonesia, where it spreads through food, through grains, and things of that nature, where apparently the fungus had evolved or mutated to the point where it can infect human beings. And you see the different stages that if you saw you saw the show, my God, the creatures that were formed, right? And I had to rely on my daughter Soleil, who seemed more well versed in this than I, to kind of educate me a little bit on what different creatures were. Stage one was like a stalker, or stage two was a clicker. That's the ones that if you saw the show, those are the ones that couldn't see, that they were relying completely on sound to find their prey. And then there were the bloaters. And there was an episode of a few episodes back where you saw a bloater for the first time, And that thing was a big monster. It just came out of the ground and just started wrecking everything. It was great. Crazy scene. What I appreciated from this show was it didn't really, I mean, it did show the creatures. That's the point, right? But I think the bigger point here was how you saw this relationship develop between Joel and Ellie. At first, he didn't want to deal with it. He didn't want to deal with her. He was very closed in, very closed off, and he wanted nothing to do with it. But in the process of all the them traveling from Boston all the way through Wyoming to Utah to go to where the Fireflies would supposedly help her, it was like his father instincts just kind of started kicking in, and he became like a father figure to this kid, who never knew her parents. She never knew her parents, and you see what happens in the very beginning of the last episode. You witness her birth, how she was born, and how how she was immune to this thing, to the cordyceps fungus from the very beginning, since when she was born. Her mother apparently got bit, and as she gave birth, and when Ellie came out, apparently there was enough time for some of that cordyceps stuff from the bite to go through the umbilical cord into Ellie, and some way, somehow, it made her immune. She cut the umbilical cord, right? So you see that go down, and it's like, wow. So, and here's some trivia: the woman who played Ellie's mom, giving birth to her, actually does the voice of Ellie in the video game, I was told. So that's some interesting, fun facts right there. Again, excuse my voice. So I found this to be a very great episode. I think it's the beginning of something huge. Not since The Walking Dead has anything grabbed my attention like this. When it comes to a post-apocalyptic scenario where it's all about surviving, and it's about protecting the ones you care about the most. We saw that in The Walking Dead. We're seeing that here. Joel grew to love this kid and care about her. Now, here's the part that went crazy in this last episode. They finally get there, right? And they run into the same woman who sent them off, right? In the very beginning, who sent them off on the mission. What's that about? She tells him that she's being prepped for surgery, and that the cordyceps is in her brain. And as a result, it doesn't, it makes other creatures, like if they bite her or attack her, the whatever, doesn't already thinks that she's a cordyceps creature. She's not. It bugged me out because they did that, and then they told him that he can go now because she's not going to survive the surgery. Apparently, whatever is in her brain, they have to kill her in order to obtain that, so that they can manufacture a cure and wipe out this horrific infection. Now, I wonder if this, had he not grown so attached to her, had he not grown so attached to her, would he have been like, okay, and left? But because of the time period that had elapsed, and that he grew to take to care about her, he didn't know anything about them killing her. They just thought they were gonna, I don't know, take a sample for blood or something. This surgery thing with the brain, no. So they try to get rid of him, but he went crazy. He went like the Terminator in the first movie. He went on a shooting rampage throughout the whole hospital, killing everybody in sight, until he found the operating room where they had just put her under to operate, and he took care of business there too. He killed the doctor. He told the nurses on hooker, and he just took her. So the idea was that he was, he left. He killed everybody. Everybody. Okay. It was, I liked how it ended, but the story's not over, right? Because I suspect there are other people out there who know about Ellie, that weren't there. And so they're probably going to show up in the second season and propose a problem. They're going to head back to, I think, Wyoming, where his brother was staying. Remember that episode when they went and he reunited with his brother, and they stayed there for a little bit before they continued on their journey. Yeah, that, it's an amazing, he's going back to that. And the funny thing about Ellie is that she's a smart girl, very intuitive. Like, she asked him, he told her some story about how raiders came in and wiped everybody out. He didn't tell her the truth about what happened. He didn't say anything about it. And at the very end of yesterday's episode, she asked him, swear to me that that's what happened, what you told me. And he said, I swear. And I'm like, shit, man, you're lying. You are lying. I have a weird feeling she's going to find out anyway. Now, having said all that, I'm going to give this episode of The Last of Us, I'm going to give it 4 coffee cups in my rating because this is a great series. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And even in the midst of my illness, it was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely great. So, again, there's this first season, if I have to use one word to describe it, I would call it, it's about relationship. It's about relationship. It's about Joe. It's about his search for himself in this crazy world where, he lost his daughter all this time back. And now he's trying to, restore, get a restoration of himself to a certain degree, and I absolutely liked his arc, and how it continues to develop. But one thing about him, you have to be very clear about it. This has been made very clear throughout this first season. He will stop at nothing to protect those he cares about. He'll kill somebody without thinking about it. So there you have it. And Ellie, she has an amazing story too. There was that episode a couple episodes back where we saw the story of her and her friend, when her friend took her to the mall and showed her all the cool things, the video games, the arcade, the escalators, the photo booth, to show her that this was this is how life was before the world fell, basically. And my hat is crooked. There you go. And so we had a chance to get to know her more in that episode, as she was trying to heal Joel, because he was in a really bad, he was physically injured really bad at that point. But we learned in the last episode, before the one that ended, the one from last week, that she could take care of herself really well. This guy, religious leader, cult dude, was crazy. And, and they were cannibals. They prepped human bodies for food. You know what I thought, right? Because I compare, I make comparisons. It's like Terminus and The Walking Dead. Remember Terminus? They were cannibals too. They did that too. So I thought of that. I was like, okay, I don't know whose playbook they took that from, but all right. So I really think this series was amazing. Joe, let me tell you something. If Pedro Pascal's character, Joe, could get a Father of the Year award, I think Pedro Pascal himself should get a Father of the Year award. He's such a daddy figure, right? I mean, think about it. And I'm going to talk about this real quick. You're going to like this. All right, ready? I noticed something. I noticed something in this show. And this last episode nailed it for me. And I went, oh, God, this is hilarious. How many of you have seen The Mandalorian? It's Pedro Pascal, right? He's Din in the Mandalorian. He's the Mandalorian. And he's got little baby Grogu, a.k.a. Baby Yoda and whatnot. If you think about it, let me show some, let me give you an example. Let me show you an example right now. Hold on. Is your camera video file? What's this? All right, hold up. All right, here we go. All right. All right, here's Pedro Pascal's the Mandalorian, and he's got little Grogu. Okay. Think about this for a minute. Pedro Pascal plays a character in The Mandalorian who is sent on a task to acquire this asset. That's what it was called, an asset, to deliver to the remnants of the Empire. Because they needed this little child, this Baby Yoda looking thing, to get something biologically from him, right? As part of some kind of plan. All right. Now let me turn this off. And if you think about it, in The Last of Us, Pedro Pascal was given a task to deliver this asset to go somewhere else to because they needed to do something in that case to try to cure the cordyceps infection, right? All right, check it out. It's funny. Remember this from yesterday? When this was finally at the end, he went crazy, guns blazing, shooting everybody up, right? And he finds her already unconscious on the table, about ready to be whatever, right? But then, hold up. Look what happens here. In The Mandalorian, it's the same damn thing. He takes Baby Yoda. He's trying to take Baby Yoda to Grogu, to the people that hired him to acquire him. And he grew an attachment to this little thing, to the point that he went in guns blazing to save him. It's the same shit. I mean, it's the same cat. It's the same actor doing the same thing in two different shows. See my point? It's just, that's some hilarious stuff, man. Like I was like, what? Think about it. In both shows, Pedro Pascal's character is asked to take care of this little one, to take this little one somewhere over here so that they can do something medically to this little one. And then when he realized he didn't like what was going on, because he grew such a fondness of this little one, he went in there guns blazing to take the little one away. And now they're going to be chased after. The same thing. So I couldn't help but make the comparisons simply based on the fact that it's Pedro Pascal playing both characters. So, and I already started watching the Mandalorian season 3 that just came out. So, there should be some more on that coming. But The Last of Us was an amazing first season. I'm looking forward to next year's second season. I don't know what's going to happen. There are predictions. I like to think that there's going to be more drama and less creatures. Kind of like in this episode, in this season, there weren't that many creatures. It was more about the people. And that's because we get invested in the characters, and it's a very it's what makes the show very powerful. So I just wanted to put that up there. So those of you who saw this or seeing the replay at least, let me know what you think. Talk to me, comment below. Let me know what you think about The Last of Us season 1. And if you really liked it and if you're looking forward to next year's season 1. In the meantime, I'm going to sign off because soon I'm going to start whispering and you're not going to be able to hear me at all because my throat is still messed up. So this is Ralph Perez, Horror and Coffee. All right. Take care. I'll be around. Just to let you know. All right. And may your week be a good and blessed one. Take care.